tomorrow for all Barbados. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly welcome our political leader, the next Prime Minister of Barbados, Owen Arthur.
The Dems fooled them, they had the solution for the problems facing we all over this country. But their whole policy was torment and misery. So where you red, where you red, where you red, Owen come in, get ready. Where you red, where you red, where you red, for Barbados Labour Party. Where you red, look where you red, yeah where you red, Owen come in, get ready. Where you red, where you red, where you red, for Barbados Labour Party.
Wonderful good evening to all of you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your very strong, enthusiastic support for the Barbados Labour Party. Now tonight, before I say anything else, I want on behalf of the entire family of the Barbados Labour Party to extend our heartfelt sympathies to the family of Mr. Branford Tate on his death. Branford was one of the liveliest people that you could encounter, and it is very difficult to come to terms with the fact that he's dead. He was my friend. He was part of a approach to politics where we were happy warriors, where although we were on different sides, we could share fellowship in a way that perhaps young politicians could learn from. He was part of a time when, for example, Harry Blackman and I would debate each other on the floor of Parliament and then go to Cable and Wireless and play dominoes as partners. There was a need for that civility again in Barbados politics. But above all, Branford was a great orator. I believe that he had a passion for Parliament, and that in every respect, he set standards as a parliamentarian by way of his contribution to the political discourse. That was really amazing. And that although he was on the other side, it would be inappropriate for the family of the Barbados Labour Party not to acknowledge his passing, to mourn his passing, and to hope that the trumpets will sound for him on the other side and that he will rest in peace. Tonight I really feel intimidated by being on this platform. I heard some speeches tonight that I could not believe were possible. And I must tell you that I'm very pleased that Liz Thompson has joined back this campaign. So you all don't need me anymore, so good night and God bless you all. Just testing, just testing. But I have come, first of all, to ask you for your support for Jerome Walcott and for the entire slate of candidates that we have brought to Christchurch. But especially Jerome. We are in the Barbados Labour Party going through a phase of redevelopment, and Jerome has, as chairman of the party, assumed a kind of leadership role, and I pick that word carefully because you know how these things are misrepresented. But as chairman of the party, Jerome has assumed a leadership role in the Barbados Labour Party. He has prepared the party in large measure, helped to prepare for this campaign. The wonderful state of our campaign, the way in which we have shown that we can put together a tremendous campaign, would not have been possible without Jerome Walcott's work. And tonight I want to thank him for his wonderful service to the Barbados Labour Party. And I am absolutely sure that the same kind of sterling service he has shown to this party, he's anxious once again to show to this constituency. And I could, in a broader way, say that he will also show to the government of which he will be a part. So I'm asking you to vote for him, and also vote for the other candidates that we have in Christchurch, because there's too much riding on this election. Too much is at stake for us to take chances in our future. I have come tonight to perhaps continue to talk about our manifesto and its spirit, and to talk about the challenges ahead. But I'm not going to fail to talk about some political issues as well. And as I said, there's too much at stake for us to allow the Democratic Labour Party to take this election by stealth. And I want to repeat that. The Democratic Labour Party would wish to take this election by stealth. They're not prepared to give you an account of their stewardship. They are not prepared to engage as we are prepared to engage in telling you what kind of differences we will make to the Barbados we must create. They're dealing with the politics of duplicity and the politics of fear. And every night I get a chance to deal with it, I shall deal with it. Because I shall not leave my children and now my grandchildren to be at the mercy of this bankrupt group. And it has to be, and CBC, perhaps you all should say this and carry this now. It has to be one of the most disgraceful things that has ever happened in Barbados politics. For the Democratic Labour Party, not only to be exploiting the children of this country by causing my daughter to come home to ask me if it is true that we are going to make school children pay for going on the buses, but to take an old woman, and to make Barbados feel that we now are going to put the old people at a disadvantage by taking away from them that which the Tom Adams administration gave to them. Because let us not forget that it was the Tom Adams administration that made it possible for the old people of this country to ride on the buses for free. And our politics is now plumbing a new depth. A new depth. When the Democratic Labour Party knows, they know that there's no plan by the Barbados Labour Party to stop pensioners from riding free on buses. For 14 years we ran this country and the pensioners rode free. But if people are to be intimidated into voting against us because an old lady come forward to argue for the Democratic Labour Party, that we are going to cause her to pay. And you have to listen to her, darling, because these things matter. And we have, and we will engage on this question of privatization until we are heard. And privatization is a matter that the Democratic Labour Party has committed itself to by way of policy. And you have heard Chris Sinclair. You have heard Chris Sinclair on these platforms as our special guest speak to privatization. But Chris Sinclair also gave a speech to the Barbados Chamber of Commerce on May the 25th, 2011. And he said these words. He said, even a blind man on a trotting horse, sitting down backwards, will be able to see that too many of these organizations, that is the statutory boards, have become very much like central government that they were created to assist. They have become wholly inefficient in service delivery, extremely costly to maintain, and weak in some managerial and operational systems as well. That is not to say they have bad managers, but at a system and at a structural level, several can no longer effectively and efficiently deliver to the public what they are supposed to serve. Clearly, Mr. President, it is no mystery that agencies such as the Barbados Port Inc., the Transport Board, the Barbados Water Authority, the Sanitation Services Authority, CBC, and the National Housing Corporation have all now become, in one fashion or another, increasing burdens on the taxpayers of Barbados, who are called upon in one way or another to support their varying levels of inefficiency. And the cost of such continues to rise on a yearly basis, and frankly, must be addressed by the entire nation sooner rather than later. These are not my words, you know. That the Transport Board, the Water Authority, the Barbados Port, CBC, the Sanitation Authority, the National, have all become burdens. And their cost to the taxpayers must be addressed sooner rather than later. And then he went on to say this. He says, I have raised these matters with Prime Minister Frandel Stewart, as I have with the Cabinet of Barbados. Our views are ad idem. You want me to repeat that, please? Because Frandel Stewart has come forward after we have disclosed that Chris Sinclair went on the floor of Parliament and said that they are going to have a program of privatization. He said, not me. He says, no. I don't believe in the privatization. But here is that speaking to the Chamber of Commerce of Barbados, Sinclair says, we are going to start privatization sooner rather than later. And he says, I have raised these matters with Prime Minister Frandel Stewart, as I have with the Cabinet of Barbados. Our views are ad idem. So I've come to Oysters to tell you, first of all, that where privatization is concerned, in the DLP there's no eager 11, there's an eager 21. Each and every one believe in it. And Frandel Stewart should not be walking around Barbados talking about trustworthiness, because he sat at Cabinet, as Sinclair has said, and sat over his Cabinet and agreed that all these institutions should be privatized. Not only the Transport Board, you know, but the Sanitation Authority. The DLP wants to have a Barbados in which you have to start to pay to get your garbage picked up. And how many people will have to go home from the National Housing Corporation and CBC, you think is safe because of Frandel Stewart? I have already said that if Frandel was at Cabinet when these things were happening, he wasn't sleeping. Frandel might be the only thing that ever went on hibernation in the tropics. But the man had to be hibernating, man. He gone past sleep now. This happened at his Cabinet, and Mr. Honesty and trustworthiness, because the people of Barbados to believe vote for them, because it is us, rather than his Cabinet, that want to send home people and cause old people to pay on buses and children. So I'm begging you all. You had 14 years to judge us. I am today what it was yesterday and shall be tomorrow. I know what it was to run a country. And for 14 years, I didn't know how to increase bus fares. I didn't know how to raise the fees paid by liquor license people to just run liquor shops. The notion of increasing road taxes, not part of my administration. The concept of causing people to pay money just to ride a bicycle in Barbados. I keep telling people nobody could have made me to go down to Parliament dressed in a fine suit to raise a bicycle license fee. Foolishness. Judge us by what you know we stand for and what we have done. And I'm sick and tired every day. This duplicity that must be referred to as duplicity, the people who from their very lips have said that they want to send home people from the transport board are accusing us of being the perpetrators of their very act. And this is foolish politics. It is stopping this country, and I will come to my message because it is late, and I'm not going to give a long speech tonight, but I'm going to give you a speech. It is stopping this country from facing the calamity that is now Barbados' circumstances. And this election has to be how we bring this country out of the land of Egypt into the promised land. It has to be about this. And we will not get to it in this election if it is about our fraudulent attacks on the Barbados Labour Party, about our wanting to make old people pay on the buses and make children go to school. It's foolishness. Next matter, in 1958, a gentleman called C.L.R. James did something called a political analysis of this, an analysis of the political situation in Barbados. It's a wonderful thing that you all should read. Because in 1958, he predicted what the Democratic Labour Party was going to do in 2013, 2012. He says the opposition, that was the DLP. He says that the DLP owes all its force to the all-round ability of Barrow, an outstanding lawyer and a man of obvious political ability. Barrow holds the opposition together, and without him, it would probably fall apart. He says, I have attended sessions of the House of Assembly, and during this time, I have failed to discover what the DLP stands for to any degree whatsoever. They have neither program nor policy. In addition, there is about them an unsavory atmosphere which West Indies politics at this stage cannot afford. They are about cutting deals. And tonight I say from this platform that in addition to the politics of stealth, the politics of duplicity, each and every Barbadian should be concerned that the Democratic Labour Party is also into the politics of deal-making. That they are not about program and policies, as James said, but they are cutting deal after deal after deal, which you, the taxpayers, will have to carry as a burden. Cost you less is a deal. It is a deal that could end up costing the taxpayers of Barbados millions and millions of dollars. And it is a deal that Chris Sinclair put in place over the objections of the public officers of this country. What is happening at the Water Authority is a deal. Chris Sinclair refusing to sign a contract arranged by David Estwick. It is a deal. The housing program of the Democratic Labour Party has been a series of deals to exclude the small contractors of this country and not to put the money in, because money is being put in people's pockets, but not small people, but to put the money in certain pockets of certain big people in this land. Government's approach, whether it is to finding a solution to Haywards or to Paradise or whatever else, is not first and foremost to ask and answer the question what is in Barbados' best interest, but what deal can we cut? A man called Mr. Dennis Lowe, where he is the deal maker in chief. Bagatelle recycling may be a good industry for Barbados, but Bagatelle is a deal. Lowe wanted to make a deal to get a Canadian company to come into Barbados to maintain the boardwalk that we have put in place. And these things matter because they're taking place in a country where people are sucking salt or people are suffering. People cannot afford to live in this country again happily. And while all these deals are being put together, you, the people, will have to pay for them from your already straitened circumstances. And tonight I've come to Oystins to tell you from the start, if you are honest and trustworthy, I dare you. Put out every arrangement that has been entered into by your party as a government with any private entity in this country over the course of the last 6 months. Show us your trustworthiness and honesty. Put out every contract, every arrangement, and especially tell us every arrangement that has been put in place by the Democratic Labour Party government during this period that election has been called. I have never, ever seen the likes of this in Barbados. And this is happening. It is happening in a country where people are suffering and the government cannot pay its bills. And this is one of the central issues in this campaign that must be addressed. Because they're being done in your name. And you can't pay your bills, but you're going to have to pay for these things. Now, I've come tonight to you with a very simple message. I'm in Oystins. And this constituency used to be represented by a gentleman who I believe is the best person I have ever encountered in public life, Harold Bernard St. John. And there is something in Harold Bernard St. John's life that I want to leave with you tonight as a message. He believed in going beyond the call of duty. He believed in overperforming. Twice, this country told him no to be a prime minister. And I remember in 1986, when Henry Ford and David Simmons and I came the day after the election to see Harold Bernard St. John, there were tears in his eyes. So biting was the rejection of this good and decent man. And all through his career, no matter what were the adversities thrown at him by the people of Barbados, he kept on and on and on fighting for Barbados. And you know, in a way, he captures the essence of what the Barbados Labour Party is about. We are prepared to overperform. We are prepared to go beyond the call of duty. And even after that, the people are not prepared to accept us. We are prepared to come again, and there again, only to serve the people of Barbados. And it was so with Grantley Adams, because that is our legacy. Between 1951 and 1961, Grantley Adams administration, what did they do? They've got the vote for poor people in this country. So they laid the basis for modern democracy, without which the society that we now know could never have become a reality. And then they set it about building an economy as well. The tourism sector that we know and manufacturing didn't exist before Grantley Adams. Grantley Adams is the father of these things because he created something called the Development Board, out of which came tourism and manufacturing. And the Bridgetown Harbor allowed Barbados to become a modern economy. And the airport, and he started to lay as well the foundations for the modernization of our social system. The QEH is Grantley Adams. Modern housing in the Pine, St. Philip, Thorpe's, public housing started with Grantley Adams. And I keep hearing people talk in terms of free education, free education. Free education started at Princess Margaret School and St. Leonard School under Grantley Adams. And you know, the Labour Party then overperformed. But the people says, sorry, we don't want you. We said, thank you, and we left in peace. Tom Adams took this country 1976, after Errol Barr had run out of steam, defeated by the oil crisis. And he started to build a modern economy. He added to what his father left, brought the international business sector and the offshore sector. And he too carried on the social transformation of this country. The greatest single piece of social engineering in Barbados in modern times has been the transformation of rural Barbados through the Plantation Freehold Purchase Act. In 28 years as a member of Parliament in St. Peter, I've seen districts of chattel houses converted into modern bungalows, all because of the vision of Tom Adams. And the drug service that serves the Barbadian people. And so many initiatives of an economic nature. And then they said, thank you. Thank you. You can go. And you know, that is the essential difference between ourselves and the Democratic Labour Party. The Democratic Labour Party believes that they own Barbados because they were the party that led this country into independence. And that since 1974, the Democratic Labour, I ask you to tell me one major thing to the lasting benefit of this country that the Democratic Labour Party has done since 1974. Nothing. Nothing. They came back to office in 1986 on the strength of the $15,000 proposal by Richie Haynes. They repudiated that, and by 1991 had this country in an economic holocaust. You can't remember a thing apart from the arch that they stood for. And they took back our government from us in 2008. They took an economy that in that year had reduced unemployment to 6.7%. In that year, $350 million of our reserves increased by $350 million. We had an economy that was growing by 4%. They took the best run and best managed economy in the Caribbean. And what have they done since then? Converted it into junk. That is what they're going to be remembered for. And I am not going to be a modest, but I also followed in the tradition of Grantley and Tom. That I came as a leader of this country in 1994. An IMF man was stationed at the door. I said, let me introduce the people of Barbados to bring back Barbados. And for 14 years, economic progress, social progress, political inclusion. And I'm going to lay claim to that record because they believe in a Barbados that does not belong to the Barbados Party alone, but it belongs to all of us. And that I try to set standards to give people of all walks of life a place in this country. And that the initiative that we had in this country, that full employment as a goal, full development, we achieved that. Full development as a goal. By 2008, Barbados had come to be recognized by the United Nations as the world's smallest developed country. Eradication of poverty brought down poverty. It is on the rise again. So that we know in the Labour Party what it is to go beyond the call of duty. We know what it is in an absolute way to perform, but to overperform if the people of this country needs us to overperform. And the simple message that I'm sending to Barbados in this campaign is that Barbados again needs a political institution that is willing and ready to overperform, to go beyond the call of duty, to set new standards of excellence that will set Barbados apart as a place of achievement. And you cannot allow the Dems to tell you to stay the course with them. Because what is their course? Their present course is the course towards calamity. What will you be staying on that course for? And as sensible people, if you cannot afford to stand where you are, that is all the good reason why you should move. And Barbados cannot afford to stand where the Democratic Labour Party have us. And that is why you have to change. And I'm not asking for change's sake. In this manifesto, I'm not telling you to vote for the Barbados Labour Party because we are offering you any duty-free cars and interest-free mortgages and foolishness like that. We are telling you that there are major challenges that have to be faced, and that these challenges that have to be faced are extraordinary things. Read the manifesto carefully, and that ordinary measures will not suffice. You need to have a government that, like the Barbados Labour Party of Grandy Adams, like the Barbados Labour Party of Tom Adams, is prepared to set new standards by overperforming. And this manifesto is saying simply that we must overperform. And why must we overperform? I never thought that a day will come when our country will be in a situation where a Minister of Finance has to say that he has to borrow every month to pay 7,000 people. Now, has that grasped you? If you had to borrow every month to pay your maid or your gardener, you'd be in problems. You will be in serious, serious grief. But our Minister of Finance is telling us that our circumstances are so serious that the government cannot pay its staff out of its revenue. And you have to ask yourself the question, how long can that suffice unless something extraordinary is done to change it? So that we have, it may sound simple, but part of the extraordinary task that we must undertake is to restore Barbados to such order that people's employment can be given certainty, and that this country no longer has to be a country where every month people can't be sure whether they're coming or going. We are now living in a country where none of the economic sectors are doing well. And that the sectors that should be doing the best are now doing the worst. Now, I'm asking Barbados to think about this for a minute. That is like flying in an airplane that has 4 engines, and then one goes, and then the second goes, and then the third goes, and then the fourth goes. Once tourism in Barbados has started to collapse, as it is now, and you heard Liz tonight in that wonderful speech, tell you what is happening in the rest of the Caribbean, and that we are the worst off. and that the rest of the Caribbean facing the same circumstances. They are growing, and we are going down. But it's not just that we are going down. The sectors that should be pulling us out are going down. So as sooner or later, if something does not turn this around, all of us will go down with the situation. So an extraordinary effort is needed. It cannot be the Dems program, because the Dems program got us into this mess again. In the first instance, there need to be a reversal of policies in a fundamental way. And in this manifesto, therefore, we speak first and foremost of the task before us. That we must revitalize this economy, otherwise this country is going to collapse. And in revitalizing it, I am not asking Barbados to come and go back with me to some idealized position that we left behind in December 2007. I will not ask that this country's development be frozen in a moment of history. We are not going back to December 2007. We will face the reality of 2013 as we inherit it. And that there's some things that we used to do in the past that we will not be able to do. And there's some things that we never used to do before that now have to be done, because unless they are done, Barbados will not make it. I ask you to read this manifesto carefully. And there's a section called the New Pillars of Growth and Development. Read that section carefully. And what we're telling you is that there's some things on which we used to depend in the past to bring about growth in this country. Those things are not available to us now to base our growth on. Our growth has to be based on something else. And we have in this manifesto told you what those things are. Now, they may not sound sexy, but in the rest of the world, you know how business is being generated? Through people using information technology, the internet. We have not yet scratched the surface in the use of information technology and the internet to be able to generate new business activity in this country. People on television in the States promote things and tell people order through the internet. Have any of you in Barbados been able to buy anything through the internet? You know how many jobs in the rest of the world are being created because you can live in one place now and sell all across the world because of information technology? So when is Barbados going to get to this? And in our manifesto, we had that section that this must be a new pillar for growth. Also, Barbados has potential for development, but the potential is buried under a large amount of constraints that affect the cost and the ease of doing business in this country. But I said that the rest of the world every year participates in something called the World Bank report on the ease of doing business. And every year they measure how they are doing in terms of facilitating business in their country. And they do a report. And every year they say, well, these are the deficiencies that we have. And this is what we're going to do to improve them. Do you know that the one country in the world that since 2007 does not participate in the World Bank survey on ease of doing business in this country is Barbados? And that the country that has the best conditions for doing business is Singapore. In the Caribbean, the country that has the best conditions, how fast you can form a company, what kind of bureaucracy you have on this and that, is St. Lucia. But Barbados does not know, because nobody is interested in easing the constraints that is holding back this country. And you will read in our manifesto, it says, look, some of the things in the past can't work, and that we want to strip away all of this foolishness that stand in the way of doing business in this country and adopt international best practice and go to the level of Singapore and so change the conditions for doing business in Barbados that we once again can become a growing economy like the rest of the world. I also am saying in this manifesto Barbados does not lack the wherewithal to be able to grow. The banks are awash in liquidity. The national insurance is accumulating surpluses faster than we need. So we have capital for development. And we now have over $3 billion in foreign exchange reserves. Consider what would happen if we were to find the best way of using the money lying idles in our banks properly, and I use the word properly use the surpluses of the national insurance and take a little bit of our foreign exchange reserves because they are ours. And they were put there in the event that a rainy day came. And this is not a rainy day. This is a hurricane called Hurricane Frandel. And that we was to put these things together and says, let us find ways of using our financial resources. Because there are a large number of you out here in the sound of my voice. You have ideas, but you can't go to a financial institution and get access to the financing to be able to translate your ideas into reality. And our manifesto has a chapter on financial innovation that addresses the question as to how are we going to do extraordinary things to be able to make this country better. And I'm asking you to read it because through this manifesto, we want to create an opportunity economy, an economy of opportunity. Barbados can get back on its feet again, not by sending people to cut down bush along the road, as Dennis Lowe believes is the answer. Not by just having summer camps, not by taking your taxpayers' money and spending it on constituency councils, but by bringing people with ideas and imagination and who want to be entrepreneurs into contact with the means by which their ideas can be translated into useful practice. And that's why I tell you that we have and will face an extraordinary set of situations. But we are prepared to do new things and extraordinary things to promise you, but not only promise you, but give you a better tomorrow. And I'm saying that the Democratic Labour Party, last 5 years, has been like a horror movie in slow motion. The economic policies have been like a dose of slow poison. And what are they offering you? They said, Dems, no, you know what you got? A nightmare. Dems, again, a perpetuation of the nightmare. We are saying to you that you are intelligent people. And I'm not going to go through the manifesto, or I want to go through it piece by piece. But we are offering you something that we are satisfied will get the job done. And it is not trivia, nor piffle, nor false promises. It draws from a long, rich legacy of this party, handed down from Grantley to his son, from his son to me, that we make in the Barbados Labour Party doing extraordinary thing or ordinary business. And I've come to Oystons to enjoy, to beg you to join us in this crusade. That we will overperform and that we will put back your country again where it will stand with the rest of the world like that shining city on a hill that our Barbados must become. Good night. God bless each and every one of you.
The people beg for change.